Fine. So in today's session, we'll see receivables configuration. From AP side, only one topic is pending, that is approvals. Okay, the approvals just we have to verify before we go and test directly in the system. In the most of the instances, you don't see in the. I'm talking about demo or training instances or say vision instances. The most of the instances, this is functionality is not working. So that is the reason just is still pending. Will be covering. Okay, just so only one topic is pending from payable side, and we're done with the P2P cycle. Now we'll start with the receivables. Okay, we'll go through all these configuration tasks. So when you compare receivables configuration with EBS receivables configuration, it's almost as this. Okay, so we'll go and do complete these setups one by one. First, we have to set up system options for receivables. We go to implementation project, go to our implementation project. So manage implementation projects. Just click on overview. Open the project. Search for the task called as system options or receivable system options. So system options. Okay, here we can see the task called as manage receivables system options. Click on this task. Okay, manage receivables system options. Click on go to task icon. To set up the system options for our business unit, click on create. We are going to configure system options for our business unit. For which business units you enable billing and revenue business function and customer payments, those business units only you can see in this LOB. If you don't see your business unit in this list, you have to go and enable receivables related business functions for your BU, then you will get your BU value in this list. Okay, fine. So our BU name is Cloud INC US Business Unit. Select and provide all the mandatory information. So say application rule set. Just you can select prorate all, discount basis, invoice amount, and provide tax account. So depending on the future which will be working accordingly, we'll come back to these system options and we'll set required controls or defaults. That's how we'll be working. For now, as a basic information, so what are the mandatory fields you can provide. So set up tax account here. So company, department, you can provide the tax account. Any tax account you can select, no issues, and say OK. And provide realized gain, realized loss account, and cross currency rounding accounts. So we know very well based on that field we have to select the relevant account. Now we are testing, there won't be an issue even if you select the different account. I'm just copying and pasting the same code combination. Just it's a mandatory, you should fill it. Which account doesn't matter since it's a just we are testing. Fine. Here you can select tax invoice printing option as I say total tax only. Any value, just item validation organization. We know very well in EBS we can map our item validation organization with our operating units in EBS through OM system parameters. Now here you don't need to go and set up OM system parameters to connect your inventory organization with receivables. Within the system option itself, they given item validation organization selection. Whatever the item validation organization you select in this field, so this BU will have access to those items, so that we'll be able to access the items at the time of transaction creation. Within the transaction, we'll be able to select the items which are available within this item validation organization. Select our item validation organization. Search for our item validation organization. So go with advanced. See, it's equals. That is the reason it's not displaying. Select as a starts with C. Search. Now you can find the our inventory organization. So this is the item master. Select it. Fine. Just you go through the rest of fields. If anything is mandatory, you can specify grouping rule. You can go with the default rule and this maximum memory and file access file level. You can just input any value and any other information mandatory. No. And go to cash processing tab. And here chargeback due date. When you perform the chargeback, what due date system has to default. So enter date will be changing when you create the chargeback. Will be selecting accordingly, right? So here some default you can select, and the rest of so automatic receipt creation time invoice per commitment so 1000. Okay, done. Say save and close. So just we provided basic information to complete the receivable system option setup. Done. Now we'll go on to complete the transaction type and the source definitions. Okay, we'll go and create the transaction types and the sources. So search for the transaction type task, transaction types. So manage transaction types. Just click on go to task icon. Say create. Say create. So when you create the transaction type here, we have to select the reference data set name. In payables, we use reference data set for payment terms. In receivables, for most of the setups, we use reference data set functionality. So here the transaction type set, nothing but reference data set for transaction type. You can select common. Okay, let's use common wherever the reference data set is required. You can go with a common. We know very well how to create our own, right? So let's use common. So okay. And the transaction type level legal entity is not mandatory. You can ignore it or else you may select but not required here. So transaction type is say cloud inc invoice transaction type, and transaction class is invoice. Transaction status is set open so that we can use it, and creation sign positive since it's invoice. Yes, that is a positive by default. And generate bill. In EBS you see one field where you can select the drop down values like print, do not print, that they given as a generate bill. If you set generate bill to yes, with this transaction type, whatever the transactions you create, those you will be able to print. Generate bill, if you set to yes, that means allow for printing. Meaning of it. Now we have to assign. The rest of all the controls remain same. Open receivables where this transaction related balances will get updated against the customer account, and post to ledger, post to GL, and natural applications only. These all controls remain same as EBS. Now this transaction type we have to assign to business unit. In case of EBS, when you create the transaction type, by selecting operating unit, we create the transaction type that would be limited to that specific operating unit only. But here, the transaction type you can associate with one or multiple business units. So here you can click on assign. Just click on assign. And this transaction type you want to allow which business unit to use. Select our business unit. We are assigning this transaction type to Cloud Inc. US business unit. Okay, and say okay. See, system is taking this receivables account, revenue account, receivables account, tax account, freight account. How it is taking? So we the setup what we are using, that is loaded into the system with a wrapped implementation spreadsheet. In the wrapped implementation spreadsheet, the accounts are set to the revenue account, receivable account with additional specification. Okay, revenue, receivables, revenue, receivables, receivables account, tax and freight accounts. Within that spreadsheet, that information specified. That is the reason system is defaulting automatically. Here we can go and see that. If you, I think we don't have sheet here. One second. Yeah. So if you open the sheet, any sheet which we use it for wrapped implementation, if you go to natural accounts, here this is the account type. So here the additional specification will default those accounts automatically. So in this sheet we don't have those specifications. Normally if you download within that sheet you can find it. This is the one which we use from other. One second, we'll go and see that. So that means simple, like okay, we can see from here also the sheet which we used. Within that sheet, for all these accounts, this is how it is selected. Say receivables account, account receivable. So if you select like this, asset, instead of just its asset account, but if you select asset accounts receivable account, if you select like this is how it will default. It will default like this. Okay, that's how these account system is taking automatically the moment you select your business unit. That's all. So that is a point. Within the spreadsheet, if you have if you specify this kind of okay addressing, then that will derive automatically. So 13005, 13005, because this is a just normal sheet. When you download from the instance, the same numbering you can find. So within the spreadsheet, if you specify like this is how it will get defaulted. That is not mandatory. Okay, so if you set it will default, you can override. Fine. Anyway, these accounts are required here if you want to derive the account code combination from transaction type as a part of auto accounting. Okay, let it be system is taking, since in the rapid implementation spreadsheet these all are specified as receivables, revenue, receivables, receivable account, receivables, tax and freight. Then say okay. So we create a transaction type and we assign to this business unit. Now you can go to this drop down and say save and create another. We'll create few more transaction types and select transaction type set as a common. Name, say Cloud Inc. debit memo. Select transaction class as debit memo. Transaction source, the transaction status open. So debit memo is positive sign in receivables. Of course, you can set how you require. So set printing as yes, and you can assign this transaction type to RBU. Say OK. The same process. So save and create another transaction type. Select transaction.
And
Yep.
if I want to assign multiple BUs, all I need to do plus
Only.
for every transaction type.
Exactly. You can keep adding from here only. After adding one business unit, still that will be available to add. Multiple records you can submit. Same process. Okay. So Cloud Inc. credit memo. Select class as credit memo. For credit memo, creation sign should be negative. Here before that you can set the status to open, and the credit memo sign should be negative sign. And billing set to yes. It will allow you to print it, and you can just go to assignments, select and say OK. Again, if you want to assign the same transaction type to other business unit, same process. Click on create. It will ask you to select and do save. So save and close, and select reference data set as a common set. You can provide the name as Cloud Inc. Say chargeback. Transaction class is chargeback. We don't have deposit and guarantee transaction types till this latest version. This may come in the next releases. Okay, set status as a open. And for chargeback, sign is positive, right? So set printing is required. And assign this transaction type to RBU. Say OK. Say save and close. So we created transaction types. Now we'll go and create transaction sources to generate the numbering for this transaction type related transactions. So next task is transaction source. Here we're done with the system options. We created transaction types. Now we'll go and create transaction sources. Fine. Just click on create. So as a part of transaction source also we have to map reference data set. So directly you can type common and tab out, it will fetch common set. Here you can select the legal entity. Here you can type, it will fetch Cloud Inc. Just tab out, it will fetch Cloud Inc. as a legal entity. And here you can write the transaction source name. Cloud Inc. invoice transaction source. So description field is mandatory. You can provide the same name. So transaction source type is manual. Okay, we'll go with the manual. When we go and test auto invoice creation, at that time we require imported. We'll see at that time. For now it's a manual. We'll be creating the transaction through manual process. So select today date as a starting date, and the last transaction number. They given field number as a last transaction number. So, but reality, the functionality works as next transaction number. If I give last transaction number as 1, system will be generating the transaction number from 2. So understand this field functionality as a, we have to input next transaction number here. Okay, fine. So we'll just provide, you can understand. So last transaction number I'll say 0. So we want to start the numbering. Last transaction number 0 means it will start the numbering from 1. The next transaction number would be 1. That should be applicable for which transaction type related transaction that you can select here. Cloud INC invoice. You create the transaction with the Cloud INC transaction type, system should follow this numbering. Fine, done. Now you can say save and create another. We create a transaction source cannot be less than minimum value. Start with, okay, maybe that bug fixed it. So in the other environment I could notice like the functionality is not working as they given the field name. Seems to they just fix that bug and all. Fine, no issues. Last transaction number 0, it should work. I think the same issue is open. We'll see that how it is going to behave. So select reference data set as a common and select legal entity and transaction sources Cloud INC, say debit memo transaction source, and select from date as a today's date, and here also I'm giving 1. For which transaction type, the transaction type is Cloud INC debit memo. You can say save and create another. Select reference data set as a common, select our legal entity. You can just go with any different number also, but we are starting from everything 1. The name you can specify here as a Cloud INC credit memo. For credit memo transactions to generate the numbering, we are creating this source. From date, today's date, the credit memo transaction type is Cloud INC credit memo. And here say save and close. We no need to create transaction source for chargeback. We know very well the system created source automatic predefined source only system will use. Even if you create, no use. You cannot use in the process. Okay, done. So just we completed transaction types and transaction source definition. I will go and set up auto accounting for receivables. So here you can see the task called as manage auto accounting rules. Click on go to task icon. Click on create. Select our business unit. We want to set auto accounting configuration for Cloud INC US business unit. If you look at the types, same as ABS, you can find many account types. But in this stage, we'll set auto accounting rule for receivables and revenue. That would be enough going forward when you test the different scenario concepts like revenue recognition or other topics. And when you go and set up configuration for auto invoice creation, it's mandatory we have to set all account types in the auto accounting. At the time we'll see whatever required. Now we'll proceed with that. For now what we'll do is we'll set up auto accounting rule for receivables and revenue. Okay, these two account types will help us to proceed with the transaction process. For now, we'll proceed with this two only. Okay, later we can set up all whenever those are required. Okay, receivable. So value source means table based. In EBS you could see as a table. Other option is constant value. We'll go with the constant values, or you can specify derive from transaction type, because in all the transaction types system defaulted account code combination. You can go with any option. So I'm just setting the constant values for company. For receivables account code combination, company should take 1000, department it should take 1000, account I'll select receivables account. Okay, so accounts receivable. Okay, fine. So we just given the information for receivables. Now you can say create another. If you click on done, this pop-up will be closed. So click on create another. Now we can set up auto accounting rule for revenue account also. So specify the constant values. So department account. You can just provide any one of the revenue account. Search for revenue term. Oh, many revenue accounts here. Okay, so you can select any one of the revenue account. Then click on done. Okay, for these two account types are enough. We know when you create the transaction, receivables, debit, revenue, credit. So it's a very basic accounting. To support that accounting entry creation, these two are enough. Later we'll be defining for all other types also. So now you can say done. The basic auto accounting configuration also we completed. Save it. Save it. After saving, once again cross check. So we have experience in these instances. After creating and saving, again we could not find as those are defined. So now if you want to verify, select your BU here, click on search. That should display those two account types. So receivables revenue, yes, that is saved without any issues. Done. Fine. So we completed the basic auto accounting configuration. Now we'll go and create the payment term, statement cycle, and collector definition. By grouping these three and a lot of other information, we can create the customer profile class. Okay, we'll go and create the payment term, statement cycle, and the collector definition. Payment terms. So here you can see the task called as manage receivables payment terms. Click on the task. Say create. So select reference data set. We can go with a common. Just type and tab out. It will fetch the payment term name. We need as Cloud IMC. You can define any. Just it's a. It got a limitation with the number of characters, so it's not allowing to write the full form of immediate. So let it be as it is. And specify the discount base invoice amount. We are going to provide discount and installment option. So include tax and freight in the first installment itself if you are going to have a installments. And here we given the name as immediate, so you have to set days as 0. Just place cursor below. So here it's opening the days field. So say 0. Since it's immediate payment term, discount is not applicable. If you want to set discount, here you can add the multiple levels of discounts. Done. Say save and close. And create statement cycle. Search for statement cycles. So how often we want to send the statements to customers. So manage statement cycles. Click on go to task icon. Here, click on create. And write the name as Cloud INC. Monthly. Interval is monthly. Description also you can take the same. And cycle dates you can specify. Click on add cycle dates, and for which business unit you want to define this statement cycle. Cloud US business unit. The statement date, say every month and you want to generate the statement. It's not responding. So if you see this scenario, use enter from the keyboard, it will work. So select your BU, Cloud INC. August 31st. Use enter, it will first select, then you just go with enter from the keyboard, it will get selected. So normally it has to respond if you double click. This is how just you can just specify. So what are the cycle dates to send the statement to customer? Say save and close. Now we'll go and create the collector. Search for the task called as collector. The task called as manage collectors. Okay, we'll create Cloud INC itself as a collector. Okay, we'll just give the name and who's the employee means. We'll select the Cloud INC only. Click on add. So we'll give the name as Cloud INC collector and select. So maybe location based you may write the collector name. So who is the actual person? Cloud INC collector means who is the employee. What is the employee name? That you can write it. And by default it is enabled, it is selecting. Here you have to select the reference data set for this collector definition also. Scroll little right. Select common here. We are using the common reference data set throughout receivables. So common set. So save and close. So now we can go and create the customer profile class. So we're done with the payment term, statement cycle and collector definition. Now we can create the customer profile class. Okay, search for the task called as customer profile class. So manage receivables customer profile classes. Click on the tasks and click on go to task icon against the same task. So same as EBS, in the fresh environment also you could see one predefined profile class called as default. The same is applicable in Fusion also. So in the fresh instance also, you can see one profile class called as default. The name itself default. So anyway, we'll go and create our own profile class. Click on create. We can give the name as Cloud INC standard profile class. Select who is the collector. Cloud INC collector. And select payment terms. Cloud INC immediate. You can select the statement cycle. Cloud INC monthly. Okay, give these specifications. Nothing is mandatory. So when we work on balance for billing, we'll enable and we'll set required setups. So you can provide this information. You say save and close. Done. Now before you go and create the customer and customer address, at the time of customer address, you have to select reference data set. The one which is available as a predefined CDATE, that doesn't work. Okay, that common won't be available to use for customer site definition. For that purpose, what we'll do is we'll create the separate reference data set for customer site definition that we have to associate at BU level. Then you can create the customer. Simple point, at the time of customer site or customer address definition, we have to select reference data set. We know very well in fresh instance you can get only two reference data sets. One is common, second one is enterprise. So at the time of customer site creation, system will ask reference data set selection as a mandatory. The common won't be available for this selection. Okay, so you can use enterprise if you want to use, or else you can create your own reference data set which is a BU specific reference data set to manage the BU specific customer sites. Okay, that's how normally we create. Generally we go with a BU specific reference data sets to maintain the BU specific customer sites. We'll go on to create the separate customer reference data set that we can associate with our BU. And finally, that we will be able to select for our customer site definition. We'll see that process. We know how to create the reference data set. The same we are going to do, but for the purpose of customer site. Okay. Go to reference data set definition. Search for the task called as reference data sets. Manage reference data sets. Why we are creating the separate reference data set? To manage BU specific customers sites. Click on create. Give the name as Cloud INC US BU customers reality sites. That's it, customer sites. Here you can write the name as Cloud INC US BU customer sites. So save and close. Now this reference data set we have to associate with our business unit. By default you could see common. Common you cannot use, you have to replace. Say business unit set assignments. Search for this task. Okay, manage business unit set assignments. Click on any one of the tasks, all will take us to the same page. So manage business unit set assignments. Click on go to task icon. So we are talking about customer site or customer address. Here, if you notice, customer account site system selected common, but common doesn't work when you create customer sites. So system select taken common since we given common at the time of this BU creation. Now we have to override. Go to customer account site. Just place cursor here and override this with the value what we created just now. So the name we given as Cloud INC. Search and say OK and say save and close. Done. We created separate reference data set that we associate with our BU. Now we can create the customer site definition by selecting this. You cannot use common, that is the reason we are creating separate one. So we completed this reference data set and assigning the same reference data set to BU. Now we can go and create the customer and the customer site. So when you talk about supplier, we have to assign the separate role, and again that user should be a procurement agent. Okay, employee user need to be converted as a procurement agent. Only procurement agent can create supplier and supplier site if the user has access to supplier manager role. But when you talk about customers, we don't need to assign any additional roles to the user. The customer definition task would be available within the project itself. No role we have to assign. Directly you can find this customer definition task within the project. Search for customer, create customer. So create customers. Create customer. Search for create customer task. Click on the same. So here we have a create customer task. Click on go to task icon. So we can provide the name here. I can give the name as Cloud INC customer 1. And here you have to provide the address set. Okay, the one which we created, that you have to select here. Cloud INC, right? Search, select Cloud INC US BU customer sites reference data set, and provide address. The format is little bit disturbed. Okay, only you could see 3 fields here, rest of fields moved right side. But the address definition, you can see all the fields are optional, but treat these are mandatory. Otherwise, when you are working on certain concepts like customer refund and other concepts, system won't allow you to find this address if address is incomplete. Okay, make sure that you are providing enough information for customer address, even you see all the fields are optional. Okay, so Cloud INC site, Cloud INC address. So select postal code. System will default city, state and county. So for this address we are going to use for which purpose, that we have to specify address purpose. Just click on add. I'm selecting a purpose as a bill to, and the same we can select for ship to also, or you may create separate address, say ship to, and you have to map this ship to and build to. Select build to site mapping for ship to. So done. So just we given the name and we selected reference data set for address definition and address details we provided, even all are optional we provided. Reason, if address definition is incomplete, it will create issues when you perform certain transactions, and we specified this address purpose as build to and ship to. Done. Now you can say save and close. The system will create a customer definition, and we have to assign our customer profile class to this customer at account level as well as site level. So system is showing the 50% match is found. Okay, there is one customer called as Cloud INC, or what is this? Okay, this is just, it is connecting to this is supply record basically. Okay, you can say option 2, create new organization based on what you provided. So based on this, let system create. Select and say okay. So now system will create the customer record. Now you can find our customer. So organization name is Cloud INC customer 1. It will display 3 separate records for the customer definition. Okay. Customer header record for every customer. So system will create the account. This is account record. Against that account, we have this site. Site got build to and ship to purpose. Now we have to assign our customer profile class to account level as well as site level. To assign at account level, click on account number. Just click on the number, it will open the customer account. Okay, this is a customer account. To assign that profile class, go to profile history. Here you can see already system taken one profile class called as default. We have to override it. To override this, go to actions. See here below, the field is freezed. Here default, here all the fields are freezed. So go to actions, say correct record. Now fields are open. Now you can select our profile class, Cloud INC standard. So yes, we assigned our customer profile class to customer. So that is defaulting the collector and other details. Now you can say save and close. Now we assigned at account level. So primarily we required at site level. Now you can go to sites. Just click on site number. It will open the site definition, and there. If you go to that profile, profile history, it will default from site to. It will default from account to site. Go to profile history tab. Say create site profile. So already we assigned to account, right? Account level we assigned customer profile class. If you click on create site profile, it will copy from account to site. Just click on create site profile. So it created. It defaulted from account to site. Say save and close. So click on save and close. Our customer definition is ready. Okay, done. Customer including site definition is completed. Now we'll go and create the Remito address. Okay, so search for Remito address. Task name is manage Remito addresses. So here is the task. Click on go to task icon. Say create. Here also reference data set is applicable. You can go with a common. Just provide basic information. Cloud INC. Remit to address. We know very well remit to address is nothing but our address which will give to our customers where they have to send the payment. Right. In their books they'll be taking this address as a pay site. Right. So you can just find any postal code and you can select rest of information system will default. Done. So save and close. Okay, this is a remit to address. For this remit to address, from where we get the payments, receipts from criteria we have to specify. Right, so select country. We create a remit to address for US. Just find our remit to address which we created for US. So that is Cloud INC remit to address. Just select this record and below you have to specify receipts will come from which country or which state. Those specifications we have to give. Receipts from criteria is so in this for country just you select receipts will get say payments will get from the customer from US only. So US within the US from which states you get the payments if you want to specify you can specify or else you can ignore it. Maybe say from Florida will get the payments. We have a customers only in this state. That's how you can specify and say save and close. Done. So we create a remit address which is required at the time of transaction creation. Done. Now we'll go and create the memo lines. So we know like all the services we create in the receivables as a memo lines which are non-inventory items. Search for memo lines. Here you could see the same task. Manage standard memo lines. Click on go to task icon. Other than reference data set, all the setups which we are doing as a part of receivables same as EBS as it is. Fine. Select reference data set common. So memo line it's basically for non-inventory items, services, say consulting fee. Okay, and if you have a plan of okay, we'll see that. First, we'll assign this memo line to our business unit. Cloud INC US business unit. If you have a plan of deriving the revenue account from memo line, if you want to set auto accounting rule, derive revenue account from memo line, in that case, this account is required. Otherwise, not required since we just these specifications all we have in the wrapped implementation spreadsheet at the time of loading, system is defaulting. Okay, if you want to derive from the memo line, you can keep the account here accordingly. You can set up auto accounting as a transaction. I mean source as a memo line. So this is how just we can create the memo line or standard memo line or standard anything you can call. So we're done with the memo lines. Now we'll go and create the receivable activities. In EBS release 12, not in EBS 11i. From release 12 onwards, if you want to create the receivable activity, first we have to set party tax profile in EBT, e-business tax. Without setting the party tax profile for our operating unit in EBS release 12, you cannot create the receivable activities. But that's sort of dependency we don't have in the Fusion application. Without setting the party tax profile for our BU, we can go and create the receivable activities in receivables. So when I talk about receivable activities, primarily we need two receivable activities as a part of configuration. When you go and set up receipt method, we require two receivable activities called as earned discount and unearned discount. Now we'll go on to define two receivable activities called as earned and unearned discount. Those we can use as a part of receipt method definition. Okay, go to receivable activities. Search for the task called as receivables activities. Receivables activities. You should type as a receivables activities. So manage receivable activities. Two are enough. So when you are working on the different concepts, so we required again receivable activities accordingly. At that time we'll create other activities. For now, which are required as a part of configuration, we'll go to create. Just click on create. If you want to create this, we want to use this receivable activity for which business unit, that you can select. Cloud Inc US business unit. The activity name is, say, unearned discount. And select activity type also as a unearned discount. And DL account, so everything we can accept as this. Provide unearned discount account here. Say contains, when you are searching for anything, discount. We need an account called as unearned discount account. Yes. Say okay. Fine. Now you can say save and create another. We need one more receivable activity for earn discount. Select our BU. You can write the name as earn discount. So activity type is earn discount. Activity account is earn discount account. Say okay. Say save and close. Okay, we created two receivable activities which are required as a part of receipt method definition. Done. Now we'll go and create receipt class and method within the receipt class. Search for the task called as receipt class and methods. Receivable, receivables, class and methods. Sorry, not receivable, receipt, right? Receipt class and methods. Receipt classes, I guess. Okay, manage the receipt classes and methods. Okay, manage the receipt classes and methods. So click on go to task icon. Say create. Attempt to access the view of We'll retry. Click on go to task icon and say create. It's not opening these fields. Seems to there may be some issue in this environment. Otherwise, what we'll do is we'll just sign out and sign in and we'll try. Or else maybe someone else might be trying the same function same time. We'll see that. Okay, just if some other user also is trying to access the same task, that also may cause this kind of issues. We'll see now. Go to implementation project. So open the project. Search for the task called as receipt classes and methods. Say create. I'll try in this way. No, it's not allowing. So no issues. Okay. So just if you click on create, it will allow you to. Okay, now it is allowing. Great. Fine. So we'll create it. Cloud INC. I'll say manual. So manual receipt class is Cloud INC manual. Creation method, as we are going to create receipts through manually. When you create receipts, automatically will create the receipt class for automatic. So remittance method, I'll select standard. Okay. And here you can specify receipt method details. Just click on add. Place cursor here. The field will open. You can say receipt method, how we are going to receive the payment from customer, say through check. And below you can add remittance bank account details. Just click on add. Select business unit, this receipt method you want to use for which BU. Select bank account details. bank account is Cloud INC. Select account. And cash account is defaulting from this bank account, and provide other accounts. How to provide receipt confirmation account, remittance account, unapplied receipts, unidentified receipts on account. These are all just you can pick from the value set and you can provide. But here, just to complete this setup, I'm just using the single account. So select receivable activities which we created just now. So we created unearned discount, right? Select unearned discount, on discount, on discount. Done. Now you can say save and close. We created receipt class and the method within the class. So these are the details. Say save and close. Done. The receipt source, just to create receipts is not mandatory if you are going to create the batch receipts at the time of batch receipts. This is required, but anyway, we'll just go and complete it. So receipt sources. We create a transaction type transaction source in the same way receipt class within the class method under receipt source. So we have a task called as manage receipt sources. Click on go to task icon. Say create. For which BU Cloud INC. So Cloud INC manual receipt source. And you can set default receipt class method and account when you use this receipt source. Okay, when you use this receipt source for any receipt related process, this all will get defaulted. Say save and close. Done. Now just we have to assign the AR roles to user to work on receivables application. So whatever the roles are required as a seeded role, we'll go and assign. For the same roles, we'll assign our business unit and we'll submit LDAP. And we'll open the receivables periods so that we can complete the basic configuration for receivables. Once we start with the transaction process based on the future, if any setups are required, additional setups will complete and will proceed. Okay. Now we'll go on to assign the roles to user, AR roles. To assign the roles to user, you can navigate to security console. Find our user. Click on user login. Click on edit. Say add roles. So same as accounts payables manager, we have accounts payable, account receivables manager, accounts receivable manager. So here also same role, two different codes. So any one you can select. So we assigned accounts receivable manager. Now you can assign account receivable specialist. Or you can assign roles related to billing. So billing manager, you can understand when you look at that name, you may not understand sometimes. When I talk about billing, we have a project billing application also. Whether the role is belongs to project accounting or receivables, we can understand by looking at code. The billing manager refers receivables, AR billing manager. Assign, and along with this billing manager, you can select another role called as billing specialist. It's also related to AR. Select. And we have a few revenue related roles also. So those are not that much mandatory to select. So you may select or you can ignore. This is not revenue analyst, you can select. It will give you the access to revenue related functions. Revenue analyst, AR revenue analyst job. This we may ignore, no issues. Say done. Say save and close. Now we'll go and assign our BU to these 5 roles by using the task called as data access for users. Just click on done. Go to setup and maintenance. Or from project also we can access this task. Task name is data access for users. Manage data access for users. Say create. Create data access. It's all about mapping. So username is Cloud INC. Just tab out system will fetch with the same name user exists. Go to roles. So payables manager, payables, receivables manager. Select. Security contest is business unit. Our BU name is Cloud INC US business unit. Just click on add Cloud INC. So next role is accounts receivable specialist. So business unit. The BU name is Cloud INC US business unit. So total we have 5 roles assigned to this user. For those 5 roles we have to assign this BU. Cloud INC. The next role is you can select billing manager. So Cloud INC US business unit. Cloud INC. Billing specialist. Security contest is business unit only. So BU name is Cloud INC US business unit. So we have one more role called as revenue analyst. Cloud INC user. The role you can select as a revenue analyst. Just I can type B, it will pick business unit. Cloud INC US tab out, it will fetch BU. Done. Okay, for the 5 roles we assigned BU. Say save and close. Click on done. Now we can go and submit LDAP job. Go to scheduled processes. Say okay. Say submit. Okay, it takes some time, we know that. We'll wait. Fine. So we assign roles to user and we provided data access to the same roles and we submitted LDAP job. Now we'll go and open the receivables periods. So basically we know like once you assign the roles and save it, system will perform the auto synchronization, but it's always recommended. It's a good practice where you can go and submit this LDAP job. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll sign out and sign in and we'll try to open the AR periods if system is going to allow us after synchronization. If already everything is synchronized, it will allow us to open the periods. We'll just take a try. If it allows, we'll do it, or else we'll wait and do it. So go to navigator. So within the navigator, we can find receivables because we assigned receivables related roles. And just click on accounts receivable task. Go to task list and scroll little down here. Here you can see the task called as manage accounting periods. In fact, you can open the any subledger related periods from GL also. From GL itself, you can open AP periods, AR periods, and other application related periods where the period opening and closing concept is applicable. Okay, just click on manage accounting periods. Yes, it's got synchronized. So this is our ledger. You can click on that. The first period is John 18. Select and say OK. Yes. Done. Now you can go with the open target period. So July 18. Select. Say open. Fine. Just click on that. So we open receivables periods. Now we can go and record the transactions in receivables. Okay, the transaction part we'll see in the tomorrow session. We completed all the required setups and receivables. In tomorrow session, we'll see the transaction creation and manual credit memo, automatic credit memo, debit memo, transaction with the memo line, chargeback, standard receipt, on account, miscellaneous receipt. We have many other topics to be covered in receivables. We'll go one by one. So, any questions from today's session from anyone, please? If no questions, we can wind up for today. We'll connect tomorrow and we'll start working on transaction process. Any question from anyone?